Hey everybody, welcome back. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Jeremy. Today is going to be a little bit different. Today we're going to try making a dragon skull. I'm working on a diorama right now and I kind of need a skull to pull it all together, so cross our fingers. Check it out. Alright, so a little bit different today. I'm going to start off with some of this super Sculpting. I got the firm. I'm not really sure how this is going to turn out, but let's give it a shot. So I start by kneading some of it up. I'm gonna use this dwarf here as a gauge for scale, and I figured I'd just try making a dragon skull to see how it's gonna work out for a diorama that I'm working on. So we'll see. So basically I'm just gonna start with some simple shapes. A ball for the skull and comb for the muzzle. Just basically to get my base going here. So right here I started cutting teeth. In hindsight, I probably would have attached the teeth different, because I cut the teeth and I baked everything at the same time, because I figured if I firm it up it'd be easier to do. Unfortunately, the Sculpting doesn't attach to itself well when it's baked. I'm sure a lot of you guys out there have more expertise in this field, and I'm open to suggestions. You can leave that in the comment below. So what I went ahead and did is I rolled out a couple thin strips, and I'm using that as gums, and I'm going to wrap the teeth around it, or place the teeth in there, put another strip on top, and kind of press it together. And I'm going to take all that and put it on to the jaw. It seemed to work out well. Again, I'm sure there's a better method to it, but this worked for me. I was able to blend it into to where it didn't look like gums. It looked more like where the teeth were actually in the skull. So now from this point I decided to go through with some just very small amounts of clay and build up like the orbital socket and the cheekbones, and just keep kind of building that up. The challenge here was symmetry, so I get one side looking the way I wanted it, and then the other side just wasn't turning out the same. I was able to get it close in the end, and the way that it's positioned, I think it worked out okay. So once the orbital socket's done, I didn't like the way that the muzzle was rounded, and I put just a thin strip across the edge to try and square it off just a little bit, add a little bit of detail in the for the muzzle, and the way that I'm spreading that in there is kind of helping with some texture to where it's not quite so smooth. So now I'm working up a few more details. I want the bone to protrude a little bit more around the nose. I think I'm doing okay on scale now. So once I get to that point, I baked it again. And now I'm going to work on the horns. So I made a few tapered cones. I figured out that, like I said, the unbaked Sculpey doesn't stick to the baked Sculpey very well. So I'm going to coat the whole skull with some unbaked, just to help it stick. It will stick if you have a large enough surface, but if you're doing just like the teeth or the horns or whatever, it doesn't stick well. So now I'm sculpting the little socket where the horns go into the skull, that little bump. I think I like that placement on the horns a little bit better. A little bit of a back twist to them. When I first put them on, they look like a very deranged rabbit. But I think I like the way that this one is turning out here. Alright, so here it is, baked for the final time and primed with a gray primer. I'm going to start with a off-white. Doesn't really matter what color of off-white, just an off-white. Then I'm going to take a little bit of Army Painter's mid-tone wash, the mid-brown. So here I'm using a very generous amount of this wash. And the wash is taking to the primed clay really well. And I want the details to pop a little bit more, so I'm going to go back through with a dry brush, the same off-white, and just start picking out some of these highlights and making them stand up again. And here it is once it's all said and done. Again, first time trying this. Anybody has any other experiences with sculpting, let me know. Leave me some comments below. This is what it looks like in the final project. I think it turned out good for what I'm using it for. The diorama, I think, turned out well. And more of a close-up with the dwarf and the skull in it. Alright, I appreciate you. Thank you for watching. Make sure you like, subscribe, tell a friend, the whole nine. I also have links to my Amazon account below.